There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said. And as a matter of fact, it was a lie. Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix. This isn't cable. This is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public.
They think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues. That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And you know, strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.
Buckle up. This takedown is one for the books. Rob Schneider has entered the Jimmy Kimmel fiasco, and it's absolutely savage. Instead of showing sympathy, the comedy legend unleashed verbal nukes that left jaws on the floor, targeting the left's late-night mascot over his ABC firing. The woke brigade didn't see it coming. They assumed Rob, as a fellow comic, would side with Kimmel. This wasn't hand-holding. It was a full-blown comedic ambush.
Rob, it's great to see you here today. Are you chilled? Are you in fear for the future of comedy and free speech?
Well, Will, first of all, I woke up this morning to the incredible shock that apparently TV shows are not guaranteed in our Constitution. I mean, wow. So that was tough to swallow.
Rob Schneider didn't hold back. First, he dropped a brutal truth bomb, roasting Kimmel and the left. TV shows aren't written into the Constitution. No matter how loudly the woke mob screams free speech, it doesn't guarantee a cushy network paycheck. And Rob went further, doubling down with biting sarcasm. Like a sniper, he reminded them that the First Amendment only shields you from government censorship, not from your boss deciding you're bad for business. In short, if you want to spout nonsense and keep your job, you'd better own the network. Until then, private companies call the shots, and Rob made sure the woke crowd heard that loud and clear. But he didn't stop there. Schneider had plenty more to say.
First. Second, I'm still waiting for the left, the liberals, to get outraged about Roseanne getting fired for her free speech. And then I'm also waiting, I've been waiting a long time for the left and the Democrats, especially the Democrats on Capitol Hill, for the Twitter files that released that the Biden-Harris administration was actually using the government to pressure Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and especially Twitter to actually censor actual Americans through government pressure.
Rob hit another hard-hitting point. Where was the left's righteous fury when Roseanne Barr was fired from ABC over her comments about Valerie Jarrett? Silence. Crickets. Not a single tear from the same crowd now clutching their pearls over Jimmy Kimmel. Rob isn't defending Barr's remarks. He acknowledges they were wrong, but he's exposing the glaring hypocrisy. If the left had no issue watching ABC torch one of its biggest sitcom stars for stepping out of line, why suddenly cry injustice when Kimmel faces the same fate? You can't cheer the firing of someone you dislike and then howl when the blade comes closer to home. Rob's message is simple, yet devastating. Standards must be consistent. Otherwise, it's not about principles, it's about politics. And he made sure the woke mob understood that hypocrisy is the ultimate punchline.
So what you have here is you have capitalist pressure. Capitalist pressure is really important because what happens is you have to make money or you have to do something of value so that you can get something in return. Now, the interesting thing is it's false advertising because honestly, look, Jimmy Kimmel can be funny, and I don't mean to take anything away from that. But the fact of the matter, can you remember a political joke that went viral? What was something really funny of his? There was no attempt in humor at all in what he said.
Rob reminded the woke crowd that Biden and Harris once pushed far harder through government channels, pressuring social media platforms to censor speech. Recall the Twitter clash with Elon Musk, which ended dramatically with the world's richest man buying Twitter. And remember how Meta, Facebook's parent company, used fact-checkers to flag or suppress false information. Those mechanisms, all installed by the left, set the precedent. Yet now the same voices are crying foul because one of their favorites is caught in a trap they helped create. Rob isn't denying that misinformation can be harmful. He's calling for consistency. If you backed society policing content when political pressure came from your side, you can't act shocked when the same system targets someone you like. Hypocrisy, he insists, is on full display.
Matter of fact, it was a lie. Now, as you pointed to, Will, since the 1960s, you have to get a license to broadcast. This isn't Netflix. This isn't cable. This is broadcast TV. And when you have broadcast TV, you have to, the airwaves are owned by the public. And to get that license, you have to be in the interest, like you said, of the public. And so that's why when there's a news van parked in the white zone, they don't get a ticket, because they are there to present news, to inform the public in the public interest. So what happens is 25% originally was supposed to be the news to inform it, just to get that license. So when you absolutely lie to the public, then you are no longer in the public interest, like Jimmy Kimmel did the other night.
And this is exactly what the woke mob refuses to understand. Jimmy Kimmel wasn't some innocent victim of censorship. He misled the public on a major broadcast network. When you play that game, there are consequences. No one forced him to speak. No executive held a gun to his head. No one demanded he wade into controversy. Kimmel had every chance to let it slide, or at least verify the facts before speaking on national television. But he didn't. He went for the cheap laugh, the partisan jab, and in doing so, gambled with his own career. Spreading misinformation knowingly isn't just a joke. It erodes trust in the very platform that pays you. This isn't free speech under attack. It's accountability. Rob's point is clear. Kimmel set himself up, and the fallout was entirely self-inflicted.
And actually, it was something dangerous. So with the FCC chairman, he didn't say that he was going to pull the license. He was going to give them a warning and ask for an apology, what I understood on the Benny Johnson show. And so that's not the government doing it. And when 246 different stations around the country say we're no longer airing this, it's because they heard from their consumers. They heard from their customers. And they said, that's it. We're not doing it. And so Nexstar, who's a great guy over there, Sean Compton, said, that's it. He's the CEO, and said, when we have complaints like this, and none of the channels, 246.
Rob then shredded another convenient myth, that the government somehow orchestrated Jimmy Kimmel's firing. According to Schneider, that story is pure fantasy. The truth is simple. ABC made the call. The network was unhappy with Kimmel's on-air comments and had every right to protect its brand. Rob even noted that the FCC wasn't planning to sanction ABC. At most, the commission might have requested a simple apology and moved on. But ABC executives weren't interested in half measures. They viewed Kimmel's remarks as distasteful, reckless, and damaging to their network's credibility. So they did what businesses do. They cut ties. It wasn't government censorship. It wasn't political persecution. It was a straightforward business decision. Rob's message was unmistakable. Kimmel's downfall wasn't a grand conspiracy. It was his own words colliding with ABC's bottom line.
And I would just like to say this in defense of people who can get absolutely entrapped into this political echo chamber. And that's what happened to, I mean, in my opinion, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. I heard him talking on some podcast with another comedian, and it's easy to get trapped in your political echo chamber.
That's exactly what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. What started as harmless jabs at Trump and MAGA quickly escalated into something far bigger and more toxic. Initially, it was just easy laughs, cheap one-liners that played well with his audience. But soon, Kimmel wasn't just telling jokes. He was repeating the same lines you'd hear on cable news, sinking deeper into a political echo chamber filled with voices that only reinforced his own biases. Instead of using his platform to spark meaningful conversation, he closed the door on debate entirely. There was no curiosity, no willingness to hear the other side, no balance. Kimmel stopped being a comedian who entertained everyone and became a partisan mouthpiece catering to one camp, and in the end, that's what doomed him. He traded humor for politics, and the audience noticed.
You're absolutely right about you have to bring value to your employer. You also have to serve, as you pointed out with the FCC's regulation, the public interest. Now, no one denies that you or Jimmy Kimmel can have your opinion, but it's where you use that opinion and on what platform. And there was a time, Rob, when late-night hosts seemed to understand that balance a little bit better. And I just wanted to, with you and our viewers, remember together Johnny Carson.
Television hosts must grasp the weight of their platform. Everything they say or do, especially on public networks, carries influence far beyond casual banter. Their jokes, announcements, statements, and criticisms ripple from the studio to millions of living rooms across the country. With that reach comes responsibility. It's not about silencing humor or stripping personality. It's about grounding commentary in truth and serving the broader public interest rather than a narrow political agenda. When hosts tailor their monologues to please one side, they stop being entertainers and become propagandists. That's when trust erodes. A truly great TV host can critique both sides when necessary, delivering laughs and insights without turning their stage into a campaign rally. Balance doesn't mean bland. It means fair. And in today's climate, fairness is the rarest and most valuable trait of all.
They think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues. That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And you know, strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.
Johnny Carson set the gold standard for late-night television, showing what those shows were truly about. Entertainment. He could cover anything, even politics, while keeping it light, funny, and enjoyable for everyone. Carson knew people tuned in at the end of a long day to laugh, not to be lectured. Today, the landscape is completely different. Almost every late-night show has become a political soapbox, more focused on pushing agendas than delivering jokes. And their favorite target? Donald Trump. Night after night, monologues sound less like comedy routines and more like campaign speeches filled with the same predictable talking points. The result? Viewers aren't laughing. They're rolling their eyes. Carson entertained America. Today's hosts divide it. That's why the magic of late night feels like a relic of the past.
Well, Johnny Carson was unique in the sense that you don't really know if he leaned left or right. Sometimes he leaned left, sometimes he leaned right, but he was there to get laughs, and he realized what people wanted to do. And I remember, like, as you know, when we were little kids climbing into our mom and daddy's bed when they let us stay up late on a Friday, and we'd watch Johnny Carson, we'd all laugh together because Johnny was there to entertain.
At the end of the day, Rob Schneider's takedown of Jimmy Kimmel wasn't just about one comedian losing a job. It exposed double standards, hypocrisy, and the decline of modern entertainment. Rob reminded the woke crowd that free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences, especially on a public broadcast network. He called out selective outrage, silence when Roseanne Barr was fired, but fury when Kimmel faced the same treatment. He also highlighted how the left cheered government pressure on social media platforms to censor speech, yet protested when the very trap they set caught one of their own. Looming over it all is Johnny Carson's legacy, a reminder that late night once made America laugh rather than divide. That's the real lesson Kimmel's downfall should teach, and that wraps up today's video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.